So the next item on the list is going to be components and props. So what a component is, it just simply allows you to use a specific function over and over again in a repeated manner. Let's dive into this. We're first going to start out by going back to the index.html, and right here, we're going to call this one app with ID app. Going back to our index.js, we're going to build a function called app. And inside app, just to make sure that it's working, we're going to return how about an h1 with this is the app working. Pretty simple, nothing super special just yet. And just like the other ones, we're going to do react dom.render. Actually, just to show you a real quick cool thing, inside here we're going to deconstruct it. We're going to deconstruct the, whoops, did not mean that, but we're going to put a comma, open and close bracket, and we're going to do render here. So now, instead of having to type out react dom.render, we're just going to type in render. And inside the render method, we're going to put app, and it's going to be a self-containing element. We're going to put document.get element by ID, and as we called it, we're going to call it again app. We're going to refresh the page. Whoops. Forgot to save my index page, but there we go. So now that we know that this is working, here's going to be the cool part of building a component and also using props. So right above the app, we're going to create one more function, and we're going to call it welcome. And inside that welcome, we're going to pass in the props. With props working, we're going to return a single line, h1, and we're going to type in hello, comma, curly braces. Let's put it in 2, and open and close. And for the props that are being passed, we're going to do props.name. Returning back to the application, instead of doing this, we're now going to change this to be a self-containing, or excuse me, I believe it's a fractal div. And inside of this, we're going to invoke this function welcome as its own component. So the way that we do that is just simply typing out welcome. Again, self-containing. We're going to go ahead and close it. And it should be pretty much activated. Now, this isn't really going to work because nothing has actually been passed through to the welcome. Let's just give it a quick test. As you can see, just hello is working. Props.name isn't returning any sort of value. There's nothing inside of it. So it's not really working correctly. Now here's where the magic comes in. Inside of here, we're going to type out name. And inside of there, let's start out with Sarah. We're going to save. We're going to refresh our page and look at that. Actually, let's go ahead and add in just a single space just to clean it up. We're going to refresh one more time and look at that. Now, the cool thing about these components is I mentioned that you can reuse them over and over again. So instead of just doing this, we're going to add in one more welcome, just so that we understand that it can be reused. Same thing, but this time we're going to use Edith. We're going to save there. Whoops, forgot to close out that, and maybe if I typed it correctly, it might work. We're going to refresh one more time and look at that. They're both working. Excuse me. Pretty cool. Well, it doesn't just work like that. Why don't we expand this and take a slightly deeper look at what potentially is going on here. So we're going to do this. And not only are we going to pass the name, let's go ahead and try to make an h2 tag. I am, and then we're going to do an age. Props dot age. Years old. Now we're going to go ahead and save that. Actually, as I mentioned, we have to have something in closing in here, so we're just going to do that. Now we're going to refresh one more time just to make sure. As we just observed, it's not actually populating the age just yet. But right here, we're going to add an age equals, and as a string, we'll put in 5. And here, we'll do age again equals, let's put 18. Now let's refresh our page and look at that. Looks like it's coming together. And so that's how you use props. You're essentially passing in this information, you're pulling out what is being passed through, and then you're using it inside of this reusable component. Now, of course, there are different things that can be passed through. We're going to look at that a little bit in the next video when we're starting to deconstruct, or excuse me, extracting the components.